Don't sit through a PowerPoint explaining tones. Just tell them foreign people don't understand tones. It's 2025, the world's about to end, but you've decided to learn Mandarin. Well, congratulations. I started learning about 15 years ago. Recently I've started learning Cantonese, and it's made all these feelings that I had when I first started learning Mandarin come back, and I just feel like I've got some useful tips to help you on your journey.
You like fuck dog.
So tip number one is don't give a shit about the tones. The ma 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 ma. It means no. You know, there's phrases that people say in Chinese, like popular ones like 你有没有什么东西? Have you got some? These sentences, people just know them. For example, I only ever come into a problem when I'm pronouncing the tones, when I'm telling the people where my school is, and I say, oh, it's next to the court, so you have to say 法院. And like, yeah, however you try and say it, 法院, 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 they'll always correct you and say it in a different way anyway, so Chinese people don't even understand the tones, so don't worry about the tone. If anyone tells you to start learning tones, just ignore them. But don't neglect the characters, that's number two. The characters are a big part of it, and they tell so much of the story. You can see what the character relates to, you can see what other things, it's so logical, and it's like a puzzle, and when all the pieces fit together you think, oh, that's how they say that like that, so it's gonna, yeah, and it makes your mind just think, oh wow, I can't believe, like, you have that character for electric and that character for brain, and when you put the two together it makes a computer, you know, like it makes you think, wow, yeah, like they're so logical.
He like fuck his mother.
Oh. Now, when I started learning, I use these things called Pimsleur tapes. If you can get your hands on them, they're pretty good. I got some cheap ones off Taobao recently to start learning Cantonese. And like, you listen and then you repeat back what they're saying, and it's really good because it's like having a teacher, but you don't have to get them to drill it to you. It's like you feel more relaxed because you're just listening to a tape where you have to say 你是美国人吗? like over and over, but the more you say it, the more it just gets soaked into your brain. I think it's a really good way to learn. And now something that wasn't around when I first started was something called Preply. It's the online teaching website. It's really good, but don't go booking loads of lessons with the same teacher. You just pay for a trial lesson, because I've always said I learnt the most by sleeping around in China. You have a one-night stand, it's like a conversation, you know, you ask this person, how many brothers and sisters you got, talk about whatever, but it's the same conversation over and over and over. So if you're having this Preply lesson and it's a trial, they're going to ask you the basics, you know, for the start, until you need to get deeper. Just go for the trial lessons. Like, that's what I'm doing. I'm a teacher on there. I teach Mandarin, and loads of people just book a trial lesson and then just think, oh, I'm not bothered anyway. Well, maybe because I'm a shit teacher, but I am getting so much out of the Cantonese side of it, you know, just meeting people, because I've actually found when you book a series of lessons, like 4 lessons, the teacher thinks, oh, I don't give a shit now because I've already joined the club. Like, I've done that a few times, and as soon as you book the 4 lessons, like, sequence, they're just not asked because they've got you on board. They put so much effort into a trial lesson. You're still paying for it, you're just giving Preply the money, they don't get any money for it, but, like, that's what we are on there as teachers. Like, it's just a language exchange platform, and like, some of the lessons are only like £2 for an hour, so they're never going to get rich doing it. People are clearly on there just doing it as a side hustle, so get yourself some trial lessons booked on Preply. But if you do book a trial lesson, make sure you go to the lesson with some questions that you want to ask. Like, try practicing your Chinese before they start rumbling on about tones, because if you give them a second to start chatting shit about tones, they will love it. Like, oh, because I did one in Cantonese, this guy's like, oh, there's 7 tones, and I'm like, yeah, but nobody gives a shit. Like, I'm never going to learn. My brain, foreign brains just cannot take the tones. It don't work like that. Like, Don't sit through a PowerPoint explaining tones. Tell them, yeah, just tell them foreign people don't understand tones. You've got to be strong. You've got to go with it. So, like, say for example, the 你是美国人吗? 你是美国人吗? Are you an American person? Like, just ask them, and then if they say 不是,我是中国人, you want to do language practice. The best thing you can do is just practice. You haven't got enough time to be learning shit about tones. Now, another great way to learn, which I enjoyed, and I found in Cantonese you can't do this because actually the language that they speak and the subtitles that they write on the screen is not the same. So it's kids' cartoons. You can find loads. There's Billy. You can go on YouTube, you can find loads on YouTube, because most Chinese shows, even the kids' shows, to some extent, have the characters at the bottom. So I just found it really relaxing to watch the show, pause the dialogue, write down the characters, copy the characters down. Yeah, it's therapeutic, check what they're meaning. It's like unsolving a little puzzle. So where are you learning Chinese? Are you actually in China? Because it's a hell of a lot easier to learn Chinese if you're actually in China, believe me. That's why I've come to Shenzhen. I live near Shanghai, but I've come here to play with the people, speak a bit of Cantonese. I've never tried to learn a language anywhere else, but like when I went to Brazil, I just think like if you started talking Spanish to them, they'd just be like, you know what, mate, piss off. Like same in same in England to some extent. Whereas here, you try talking to a local, like make no wonder foreigners Chinese get so good because they're so helpful. Like it was the Chinese people that helped my Chinese get so good because they just love chatting to you and helping you, and you can do the same conversation with the next guy and repetition, you'll get there, won't you? But if you're not in China, it's not difficult to find Chinese people. They're everywhere. You've got to approach them. So if you're out and about on the train or you see people walking around town, you know, there's a few questions that you can ask. I've got 4 little questions that help to interact with Chinese people. You can say 现在几点? 现在几点? Which means what time is it? Slowly but surely your brain will start working out the numbers. Or they might just say 你不是有手机吗? Have you not got a Shouji? Have you not got a phone? Just look at your phone. So, 现在几点? The next one only works in China. You've just got to go out and pretend that you're shopping for stuff. So, 这个是多少钱? 这个多少钱? 多少钱? How much is this? Then, 你是中国人吗? Just ask them, 你是中国人吗? Like, that's a little bit basic, and especially if you're in China, it's obvious that the Chinese people. But then my favourite one that I ever learnt was 你是本地人吗? Like if you're travelling around China and you ask people 你是本地人吗? Like, are you a local person? You know, are you a local? It's a nice way of finding out who people are when you just meet them on the street. But like here, I'm learning Cantonese, so I'm asking people in Cantonese, are you a local person? Because they're going to be able to speak Cantonese if they're local people, whereas if they're from outside of Shenzhen or Guangdong, they're not going to be able to speak Cantonese. Just thought of another thing as well. So in China, they've got these books for kids called Naojin Ji Zhuanwan, which is like shit jokes, tongue twisters, that's where it is. If you learn some of them and then you go out on the street practicing them with people, they have dual meanings, and the Chinese culture is like hidden within all these shit jokes, so it's a really good way of learning Chinese. You don't even need to buy a book nowadays. I've just asked ChatGPT for some shit jokes. 什么东西越洗越脏? What gets dirtier the more it cleans? Water. 什么东西明明是你的，但是别人比你更常用？你的名字。What's better when you turn it over? The pillow. That works, doesn't it? Everyone likes the other side of the pillow. So what can you use your fingers and you can't open your eyes? How does that work? 什么东西? These aren't really shit. 什么东西刀反是会更好用的？什么水果可以做一个武器? What fruit is a nuclear weapon? Durian. That's actually not because it smells. It's because it's something to do with the character looking like bullets. 什么东西你有，别人也有，但是你不能随便送人。So what do you have that other people have also got, but you can't tell other people? Well, it says song, which is like you can't give to other people. I think I spoiled it there. It's a Mimi, which is what in English? The secret! The secret. Oh, this one's got multiple answers. 什么东西越用越少? So what, when you use more, gets smaller? The answer is a pencil, or a rubber, or a crayon. All these just, yeah, it's just perfect practice for your Chinese. Get out there and say some shit jokes. Oh, 什么东西上升越快，下降越慢? So what goes up fast and comes down slow? That's your age. I don't really get that one. What likes to come out more when it gets hot? Sweat. Yeah, the memories of Chinese shit jokes. Wow, yeah, learn some of them and you'll just become a hero at Chinese. Anyway, that's your lot.